Okay, so we just talked about literal equations. Here's the problem with trying to do the pre-module that's not really a module that's extremely important anyway. First off, my camera's crooked and I don't like that. Is that better? Yeah, it is. So there's a lot of background information that I need to teach you in pretty much a week that it's going to be a little bit all over the place. So first off, this portion is all about slope intercept form. Okay? Y equals mx plus b. Slope intercept form is the equation y equals mx plus b. And you might say, why is this important? Slope intercept form helps me graph. So you have graphed on this coordinate plane before, where you have an x-axis and you have a y-axis. The name itself leads us to everything that we need to know about this equation. We're going to have two things. We're going to have the slope, we're going to have an intercept, and that's what we're going to have for this equation. So the key for slope intercept form is knowing that the intercept portion is all about where it crosses the y-axis. Okay? So slope intercept form is crucial to knowing where it crosses the y-axis. The other portion, slope. Slope refers to the change in the difference between the y's and the x's, rise over run, a lot of different ways that you want to talk about it. But slope is about the steepness of the line. And we will talk about slope in the next couple lessons. Right now, I'm only worried about this equation. So, y equals mx plus b. First off, each letter represents something. The m stands for the slope, which I want you to think of as rise over run. Okay? The slope is rise over run. The b is the y-intercept, which we will call the starting point. Now, today, we will not be graphing anything. Today, we're going to be dealing with literal equations and then just identifying the slope and the y-intercept. But Mr. H, you said that every letter had a meaning. Yes. This x and this y are your ordered pair. X and y are an ordered pair. And it can be almost any ordered pair as long as it's on that line. Okay? So m, which is the letter next to the x, and the b are important. Slope, y-intercept. So what are we going to be doing today? Today, we're going to be identifying our slope and our y-intercept. So let's start off very basic. Y equals 5x plus 3. And I'm going to say, what's my slope? What's my y-intercept? Well, that's easy. Y equals mx plus b. b. So my slope is 5. But I don't want it to just be a whole number. When we're talking about slope, because it's rise over run, I need you to have a denominator. So it's 5 over 1. The y-intercept is just a whole number of 3. Pretty easy. Well, Mr. H, why are you teaching this after little equations? I know, we're going to get there. So let's try again. Y equals 1/2 x minus 7. So I come above it, y equals mx plus b. Okay, well my slope is 1/2. My y-intercept isn't 7. you have to include the sign and the number. It's -7. Knowing these two things, I promise you, just from those two things, you're going to be able to make a graph. Let's try one more. Y equals -5/3 x. I want you to find my slope and y-intercept. Well, y equals mx plus b. M, nice and easy, is -5/3. There's my slope. My b, well, I don't have a b. There is no b. If there is no b, that means the y-intercept is 0. There is no b, therefore the y-intercept is 0. Okay, nice and easy. So how are we going to use this little equation? Well, so you're going to find and label slope and y-intercept. Those are the directions for the rest of this lesson. 3x minus 7y equals 21. The problem that some students will have starting off is say, hey, listen, I know that the letter in front of the x is my slope, so my slope is 3. Wrong. To find slope and y-intercept, we have to put it into slope-intercept form first. So, find our balance point. Positive 3x, we subtract 3x. 3x minus 3x is 0. -7y drops on down. -3x, remember, we want this closest to the equal sign. It's a positive 21. Am I there yet? Not yet, because we need to isolate the y. So now I divide each individual term by -7. -7 divided by -7 is 1y. -3 divided by -7 is positive 3/7 x. Positive 21 divided by -7 is -3. Okay, so now I'm in slope-intercept form, but we're not done. Find and label the slope and the y-intercept. I cannot do that until this step. So now I'm going to say m equals. M, remember, is my slope. B is my y-intercept. So now 3/7 x isn't my slope, just the 3/7 is. So if I say, what's the slope? And you say 3/7 x. No, it's just 3/7. My b, the starting point, the y-intercept, is at -3. This is how I'm finding and using literal equations to find my slope and my y-intercept. Let's do one more. Again, not a very hard lesson because we already know how to solve for y. It's now just incorporating, do you know what the slope is? Do you know what the y-intercept is? So on your own, give it a try. You're following the same directions. Let's go 1/2 4x minus, let's go plus 6y, let's make that a -4x, equals -7. So go ahead and pause me. Try to find the slope and the y-intercept. Go ahead. Ooh. Okay, welcome back, kiddos and kidettes. 2 ways to do this. Could you distribute and get -2x plus 3y? Sure. Because I just have a fraction outside of that quantity, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to do that to both sides. That leaves me with 1, so now -4x plus 6y equals -14. Is it wrong to distribute? Absolutely not. Solving for y, add 4x to both sides. That leaves me 6y equals, because that comes straight down, 4x minus 14. Well, we still don't have y by itself. Divide by 6. Leaves me with y equals, okay, fraction time. Your calculator should do it. If not, divide it by 2 because they're multiples of 2. So that leaves me 2/3. X comes to the side. This one leaves me with -7. thirds. This is slope-intercept form. Wonderful. Last but not least, though, we need to find the slope, which will be designated by M, and our y-intercept, which will be designated by B. In this case, our slope is 2/3. We do not include the x because remember, the x and the y are an ordered pair. That's not part of my slope. Though B is -7/3. Can you have a y-intercept? Can you have it where it crosses? I moved that. But can you have it where it crosses the y-axis at -7/3? Absolutely. So here's how we are using literal equations to find slope and y-intercept. Be ready to come in and work.